Hey everybody, my name is Alex with Hake Hardware, and in this video I'm going to go over a new feature that I'm going to be using since I am redoing all of my subspace stuff. And for anybody that's not in the loop, subspace is now called Autonomys, but it's still mixed. So not everything that says subspace has been changed to Autonomys. As you can see, like even the GitHub repo is still subspace. So just keep in mind I'm going to be using Autonomys and subspace interchangeably. They're basically the same thing. But we're going to be going over sync snap. So it's a new feature that allows a very fast sync mode. I believe you should only be doing this when it's a fresh node, so a node that hasn't been synced yet. So if your node has fallen behind, you can either delete your node data volume or your node data partition, however you have it. I've used Docker, so it's just a volume for me. You can delete that and use SnapSync to sync from scratch, or you can just let it sync the normal way. It's kind of up to you, but you should be doing it for just like a fresh slate with a node, and that's like the use case for SnapSync. So it's really easy. You'll just add this -- sync space snap to your command section. So since I'm starting out new, I don't have any Autonomys containers, I don't have a controller cache, anything like that. I'm going to be running clusters with NATs, but I'm starting fresh. So if you are also starting fresh and you're looking to deploy a node, you can just follow along and you should be able to get everything set up pretty easily. So I have Docker and Portainer already installed. I have other videos and other guides. If you're not to that point yet, you should go do that and then come back to this guide and we'll get you all set up. So the first thing we're going to do, I like to have all of my similar services, so like all my Autonomys things, I want them on the same network. So if we go into networks here, you have some default networks that get installed when you install Docker and Portainer and all that stuff. So we're going to create a new one, but I like to use the CLI for creating a network. I think it's just cleaner. So let me go into Termius here and paste in this command here. And what we're going to do is run docker network create. So we're going to create a network. We're going to use the bridge driver. We're going to use this subnet here and this gateway here, and we're going to call it Autonomys network. So I'm just going to hit enter, and you can see we have the ID for the network. Now if I go back to the browser and I hit refresh, we can see the Autonomys network is in here. And now I can use that when I deploy my node. It's going to be using the Autonomys network. So the next thing I'm going to do is just paste in a stack file. So we're going to create a new stack file, and I'm going to call it Autonomys. And this is going to be used initially for just a node, but in the future, I'm going to also run a controller and a cache for a cluster network. And I'm not going to go into cluster networks. I have another video on it. But if you are going to be running a farmer, which most likely you are, you should definitely look into using a cluster. It's really easy and it's super helpful. Okay, so let me just paste this in here. And we'll go over, that's weird. This got messed up a little bit. Let me just fix this. There we go. All right, so let's just go over this stack file real quick. We're going to be using version 3.8, which I believe is the latest version. We're going to call our services node, and we're actually going to change this to Autonomys. And we're still going to be using this subspace. We're on June 18th. That's the latest version. We have this node data volume, which we declare down here. We're just going to, this is all like standard ports. We're actually, one extra thing we do is forward port 9944, and that way other servers can connect to this node on my network. We're going to do restart unless stopped because when I restart my computer or if something happens, I want it to restart automatically. And then we have just our commands. So these are all the default commands basically. You should probably change name. I'm just using Hake Hardware -tutorial, and I'm actually going to just remove the tutorial part, Hake Hardware, and then this is the part where we would add that sync snap at the end. And this is an opt-in thing, so it doesn't do it by default, although in the future, this might be done by default. And then we're going to use Autonomys network. We're going to give it a static IP address of 172.25.0.1. And this is specifically for a monitoring application that I'm working on called Spaceport. So I'm going to include a label here, but this is optional. And then you should update this time zone with your time zone. And then we just have volume node data. So that's going to be a volume that we create, and we're going to mount it to var/subspace, and that's where like the node information is going to be stored. And it uses about you should assume that's going to use about 100 gigabytes. So everything should be set up at this point. We should just be able to click deploy stack. Invalid compose project. Let me just double check. Something like this always happens. Oh, you know what? We need to, that makes sense. So this is an external network, so we need to specify that it is an external network. Let me just grab this. And what we're going to do is just add a section here for networks at the bottom. So instead of NAT's cluster network, we're going to do autonomys and external as true. And I believe that's what the arrow is for. Okay, have a slight issue here. Let me check and make sure I've got everything looking good here. Yeah, the name should be correct for the Autonomys network. External true. Let me just double check the image. We are on Gemini 3H 2024, June 18th. Okay, that's correct. Address already in use. All right. Let's just see what's going on here. Oh, you know what? The IP address I have as I believe I have it as the gateway. I meant to do 101. There we go. All right, live troubleshooting here. Let's see if that'll work. There we go. So now if we check our containers, Autonomy's node is right here, and we check the logs. So let's see if we have anything that specifies snap sync. I have this port forwarded already, so hopefully there's no issues with that. I don't see anything that mentions snap sync in the logs here. Let's give it a minute to see if anything new happens. But this should be everything that's needed. I'm imagining that like the bandwidth usage is going to be pretty extreme since you're downloading like nearly 100 gigabytes. So you can kind of expect high bandwidth usage as you start to sync here. But honestly, that should be it. There's no errors about using the snap sync, so should be good. You can check the article for Substack in the description. I'll put, what it should look like when it starts to actually sync. I don't know how long it's going to take before it really starts syncing the blocks here. But check there for more updates or if you want to see what it looks like when everything is successful. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you in the next one.